Welcome to God's Vibes, the faith gym for faith walkers who are done playing small and ready to live fully led. I'm Juliana Page, apostolic voice, prophetic coach, and founder of Courage Co. And this space is where you train in truth, strengthen your spirit, and walk in your kingdom identity. If you're ready to grow in boldness, break through self-doubt, and become who God says you are, this is for you. Let's dive in. What is good, faith walkers? Welcome back. We're going to dive into a teaching together on people who have a hard time showing honor. For leaders, this could be you. You could find yourself in this state or in this position, this heart position. And heart attitude. You might have been there before, or you might witness this and it doesn't really feel good. You notice something's off, but you can't quite describe, or you're not clear on the language of how you interpret what is happening. Okay? So what we're going to focus on together is paying attention to people who have a hard time showing honor, because this is actually revealing something to you that you don't want to miss, okay? But before we do, we've got some exciting things happening. If you can see me versus just hear me, I am wearing my Coach Jesus shirt. If you ever see me in swag versus my professional attire, I guess, it's probably coming from the Courage Co shop. So Courage Co is our ecosystem that has courses and programs and training to really help people build capacity for their calling and for their unique influence and become leaders that God can trust. So that is where we train, but we also have a Courage Co shop. And Courage Co as a shop is full of t-shirts, sweatshirts, water bottles, mugs, candles, journals, just different things that have become meaningful to everybody that's inside there doing the work. And so if you want to partake in some of the goodness, you can explore the Courage Co shop as well. The links are up in my bio. You can find the shop listed there as well. Okay. Now, some exciting things that are happening. Some of you have joined us for the free 5-day summit that we offered. It was a free 5-day prophetic summit. You got to see our flight crew, who will be your crew for flight school. And so we've just had such a beautiful time exploring different things. We went into really how you can hear God, how to discern and how to trust God. We went into identity and the importance of identity and courage in the prophetic. We took a deep dive into just prophetic ministry time. So many of you were just encouraged, comforted, and strengthened during that session. We did a long session on becoming a leader God can trust, and then we closed it out with leadership and accountability in the prophetic and some Q&A time. So it was just a time to be had for sure. We're still riding in the high of that, and it was just a beautiful experience. So thank you for partaking in that. If you did happen to miss any of that, we do have all of those video recordings up in Courage Co now. And they will be up until Tuesday, June 23rd. So if you do want to create some space to just go receive and get access to that, you are welcome to do so. We also have and will have that Become a Leader God Can Trust training up through the end of the month, because we do monthly sessions in there. So that was technically our monthly session as well. We are meeting next week inside Courage Co for Kingdom Builders Night, and it's just a time of prophetic encouragement and fellowship. So that's a great thing to get on your calendar. It's going to be on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. That will be on the 25th. So mark it and join us. So that goodness is available. We also announced that flight school is starting on June 30th. So you have between whenever you see this, potentially, and June 23rd to apply. We close applications down on June 23rd, and then we will be informing people if they've been accepted into the prophetic basics training that we offer that we call flight school in that window before officially starting on June 30th. So if you do want to apply, I'll make sure that you've got the details below. It is also in the link in my bio if you can't find and click all around where things are. But do make sure that you apply. That is time sensitive. And then the other fun thing that we announced, we had another cohort of the Spirit Driven Success Life Coach Certification Program graduate on Thursday. Thursday was just a loaded day. Just a beautiful, beautiful day. So we had that transpire, and it seemed like we had an SDS alumni graduation too, but with the SDS movement, there was announcements about the SDS leadership audio mentorship. So there is an SDS podcast. You can actually find it wherever you get your podcast. So it is on Spotify, it is on Apple. So if you just look for the Spirit Driven Success podcast, you will find it. And this is where I am sharing all things Spirit Driven Success. So you do not have to be one of our certified coaches, but you can learn all about SDS. I would say it's a good primer for the certification. And for those of you that are graduates of the certification, it keeps you in the work. Okay. So that's just a great space. It's different than anything else that we offer. It kind of gives you a little one-on-one feel, or it feels like I'm audio messaging you or like we are perhaps getting counsel and wisdom through email. It feels something like that. It's a really powerful space. So I encourage you to join us for that as well. The link for that is also in the bio. Okay. I think that's it, at least for now, by way of announcements. So let's go ahead and dive into this together. What I want you to see is that when people have a hard time showing honor, and that's been shown over time, there's a pattern that's revealing something, okay? And you need to know what that's revealing specifically about character, about leadership, and also about spiritual maturity, okay? Because if you misinterpret that, or if you miss it entirely, there can be a lot of consequences that you don't see coming. Okay, so I want to open with a couple of scriptures. Number one, Romans 12:10, for those of you that have your Bibles or your phones. Love one another with brotherly affection as members of one family, giving precedence and showing honor to one another. Romans 12:10 in the Passion Translation says it this way: be devoted to tenderly loving. That means your heart is really sensitive and tender, easily moved by the Spirit of God in the Spirit of God's direction. Be devoted to tenderly loving your fellow believers as members of one family. Try to outdo yourselves in respect and honor of one another. Powerful, okay? So one of the fastest ways to discern another person's character, strangely enough, is to watch how they treat people they don't need. Just watch. How do they treat servers, volunteers, their spouse, their parents, their pastor, their mentors, their former mentors, their coaches, their therapists, people with less influence than them, or people who can offer them nothing in return? Pay attention. You might have heard, right? Like, you can just watch how people treat the least of these, however you qualify who that is. That's how you're treating the Lord. But honor is a big deal here. Honor is not necessarily about agreement. Honor is not about perfection. Honor is not about pretending to have no flaws. That's not what honor is. Honor is about recognizing God-given value. Okay? And people specifically who struggle to show honor often struggle to recognize value beyond themselves. And sometimes you'll see people, they only honor God. They don't honor what God is doing through other people that's actually blessing them. Okay? And eventually, this can become a leadership issue if you're not careful. This is a relationship issue. This is a discipleship issue. And sometimes it's even spiritual abuse, strangely enough. Okay? So honor reveals what is in the heart. That's what honor does. Honor reveals what is in the heart. Luke 6:45 says, the upright, the honorable, the intrinsically good man out of the good treasure that is stored up in his heart produces what is upright and good. And the evil man out of the evil storehouse brings forth that which is depraved, wicked. For out of the abundance or the overflow of the heart, the mouth will speak. Okay? So, honor isn't primarily a behavioral problem. It is a heart issue, and it is a massive one. And it's one that can, in the world we live in today, kind of go beyond or just under the radar. It's just smooth and calculated and intentional. There are people who are secure and who can celebrate others. There are people who are insecure and often compete with other people. There are people who feel threatened by others and often try to diminish them. Okay? And again, the way dishonor moves is not going to make logical or reasonable sense. It's not going to be logical or reasonable. It's going to be foolish and inappropriate and completely unreasonable. So you can't make it make sense. It won't make sense. Okay? But when you get that dishonor is a heart issue, that'll make more sense. Okay? A biblical example of this being played out is David with Saul. Okay, their relationship is just all sorts of interesting. David is one of the greatest examples of honor in Scripture. And some of you might have even had David seasons where you had to learn to submit to authority that God put in place, but you don't necessarily agree with, where you had to honor somebody that was not honoring to you as unto the Lord, right? And where you just had to get really uncomfortable, where God was refining you through somebody that was in a lot of ways showing up as an enemy to you. Okay, in this instance with David and Saul repeatedly and blatantly, wasn't even like quiet about it, tried to kill David multiple times, right? Yet David, even through all of that, multiple attempts, right? David still refuses to dishonor Saul. Now, for most of us, it's not the extreme where people are literally trying to kill you multiple times, okay? They might betray you or they might test you multiple times, but usually it doesn't get to the level of a David and a Saul moment, okay? Thank God for that. 1 Samuel 24:6 says it this way: the Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my master, the Lord's anointed. So David knew that he doesn't have to agree with Saul. He can recognize that Saul's heart is sick and it's been hardened, okay? But since the Lord still put Saul in place, until Saul is replaced, he is going to honor who the Lord has in authority. The Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my master, the Lord's anointed, to put forth my hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord. Notice, this is so big, and we just have to see if our hearts are this way. David honored Saul's position without endorsing Saul's behavior. That's it, right there. That right there is what maturity is, okay? Honor does not require agreement. Honor does not require access. Honor does not require trust and deep levels of trust and intimacy. And honor recognizes God-given value even when boundaries are necessary. Maturity, okay? So here's some practical wisdom on this. Many believers often confuse honor and enablement, and that's why we get uncomfortable. We don't want to enable bad behavior. So we think if we honor somebody, then we're going to enable their behavior, right? We're gonna enable something that we don't want. And those are not the same thing, okay? So you can honor somebody and say no. You can honor somebody and set boundaries. You can honor somebody and leave a toxic environment. You can honor somebody and disagree. David honored Saul, but David did not keep sleeping in Saul's palace. Powerful, okay? Now, what dishonor, if you flip this, right? What dishonor is often revealing is pride. Could be pride, could be jealousy, could be envy, but those are usually what are operating, okay? A person who is constantly criticizing somebody else eventually reveals something about themselves. It's kind of when you like point a finger at somebody, you have all the fingers pointing back at you. Proverbs 11:2 says, when swelling, it's like inflammation of the heart, right? When swelling and pride come, then emptiness and shame come also. It's that double-edged sword situation. But with the humble is skillful and godly wisdom. Not so with those that are walking in pride. Pride will struggle to honor. Why? Because pride is constantly evaluating oneself against everybody else. And if somebody is put in light, then somehow somebody full of pride makes that mean that they're dark. They can't celebrate somebody else's light because that means that the attention is not on them anymore, and they must have good grace and good attention on themselves. So pride asks, am I getting enough recognition? Why are they getting opportunities? Why wasn't I chosen? Why should I listen to them? You hear it? Humility asks, what can I learn? What can I celebrate? What can I appreciate? Right? Pride will not allow you to do what the Lord says. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. Pride will have you dishonoring others, forgetting that that's seed sowing too. Okay? An example of this is Miriam and Aaron in the Bible. Miriam and Aaron begin criticizing Moses. Not good. And it wasn't because Moses lacked calling. It wasn't because of that. But it was because familiarity with Moses, that intimacy with Moses, that closest to Moses, created contempt. And that can be what happens when the wrong people get too close to you or the wrong people get entitled to things. Okay? Numbers 12:2, and they said, has the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Has he not spoken also by us? Can you hear it? It's weird. This wasn't really about Moses here. It was about comparison. Nasty, nasty little spirit. Okay? Comparison often becomes dishonor. Often. And then dishonor will often begin when people become more aware of someone's humanity in their assignment. Then they feel entitled to humble them or to use those things against them, which was not why they were privy to them in the first place. So that's pretty sad and disheartening. Dishonor will also limit what you can receive, so it will work against you, okay? So one of the most sobering principles in Scripture is that dishonor can blind us to what God is doing. Lord have mercy. Matthew 13:57 says it this way, and they took offense and were hurt and indignant at him. And he did not do many works of power there because of their unbelief. This is what being close to somebody or being privy to their testimonies or having special access can bring out in people. Jesus was not limited by power. However, the people were limited by their familiarity with Jesus. They couldn't see who he actually was. They could not receive from somebody they refused to honor. And you never want to lead people more than they respect you. This principle is still operating today. Okay, sometimes people miss wisdom because they are focused on flaws. Sometimes they miss impartation because they are focused on preference. Sometimes they miss growth because they are busy criticizing. And it's really sad. Okay, so here is what you need to practically think about as a leader. Okay, just pay attention. Pay attention when you want to guard against this for you, but you want to pay attention when this is happening around you as well. Pay attention when someone is constantly criticizing former mentors, when they are constantly tearing down leaders, when they constantly find fault, when they never express gratitude and constantly expect benefits and rewards and good graces, when they believe everyone has wronged them, and when they cannot celebrate other people's wins, especially if they've been hard-fought wins. Those patterns are often indicators of unresolved issues that are surfacing, unresolved heart issues, unresolved pride, unresolved offense, unresolved insecurity, unresolved entitlement, or immaturity. Okay, and all of those mixed together make for a very interesting process, okay? Healthy leaders can identify flaws while remaining honorable, without becoming dramatic, without becoming unsafe and dysfunctional. Unhealthy leaders become consumed by flaws and all of these things, all of these indicators. Now, what you have to pay attention to, when you notice this, you have to pay attention that it's honor that creates access, it's dishonor that removes it, right? Like there is consequences to acting with disrespect and dishonor. That is not something that you continue to tolerate and that you give more access to or that you reward, right? You just don't do that. So it's honor that creates access, okay? Honor opens doors that striving never can. 1 Peter 2:17, show respect for all men, treat them honorably. Notice it doesn't say honor only perfect people, honor only people you agree with, honor only people you like. It says honor all. Honor all. Because honor says more about you and your character than about theirs. Okay? Another example of this is Elijah and Elijah. Okay? Elisha honored Elijah deeply. Okay? He served him, he followed him, he learned from him, and he stayed close when others left. Because of that heart posture and that loyalty, he received an inheritance many other people missed. 2 Kings 2:9, let a double portion of your spirit be upon me. Honor positioned Elijah to receive. So what do? You can kind of distinguish here the difference between honor and dishonor, right? What do you do if you notice dishonor in somebody? Not just like a minor, grievance or something minor that was addressed and adjusted. But when you start seeing a pattern of dishonor happen over time, what do? Number one, if you notice dishonor in somebody, number one, do not ignore it. Do not play dumb. Do not pretend it doesn't matter. Don't make it of no value. Pay attention. Okay? Dishonor is rarely an isolated behavior. It's rarely like an isolated event. Okay? It often reveals deeper character issues, okay, that can absolutely kill, steal, and destroy when under the influence of the enemy. And dishonor is not under the influence of the Spirit of God, okay? So you have to watch patterns, not just little incidents. You have to watch what the pattern of behavior is, okay? Everyone has bad days. Everyone makes mistakes, okay? But you have to look for what consistently is being demonstrated and what happens when those mistakes come up, okay? Number 2, set appropriate boundaries immediately. If somebody repeatedly dishonors, whether that is leaders, family, mentors, friends, and they even sort of rally people around them and start triangulating, right? Where they try to spread gossip and rumors off of lies, not even based in reality at all. And they try to rally other people in there to lie and to slander and to genuinely hurt and become an enemy to somebody and rally people around in that. Eventually, that will be exposed. Okay? But if they are doing that and you see that they're doing that to other people, it's only a matter of time before they do that with you too. And wisdom will recognize the pattern and set a boundary immediately to shut that down. That does not get to be, that might have access in other spaces without the boundaries, but here, that's not happening. Okay? 3, do not join the conversations. Don't do it. Proverbs 16:28, a whisper separates close friends. And it's the enemy that's an accuser of the brethren. Don't get in those conversations. Refuse to participate in gossip. Literally, remove yourself abruptly if you have to. Refuse to participate in character assassinations. Are you for somebody else being torn down in your presence? Do you want to be next? Then don't support it. Refuse it. Refuse to participate in offense. Offense, Galatians 5:19 through 24, talks quite a bit about the works of the flesh. And they're not really what we think, but some of them are right there at the end that's talking about hatred, wrath, emulations. And this is like envy, jealousy, hatred, storing up offense in your heart towards somebody and then making them an enemy. That's work of the flesh, and it must be crucified. And that is everything to do with what's going on in your inner man. Okay, so you have to refuse to participate in those things, and you have to crucify your flesh when you notice it's starting to. Number 4, examine your own heart. Examine your own heart. Before looking outward at other people and what they've got going on and how they're moving and what's going on there, check your heart. Look inward. Have I become familiar and lost honor for this person? Have I become critical and judgmental? Have I become entitled? Have I forgotten gratitude? Only the humble would ask questions like this. Sometimes the Holy Spirit will reveal subtle dishonor that we didn't recognize. And he'll show you the history and the pattern of that so that you don't miss it and so that you don't allow it to continue. Okay? And it's really important that you recognize it even though it's not going to feel good at all. Okay? So these are the things that you can do when you notice dishonor. Pay attention because usually it's revealing not an isolated incident, but a deeper heart issue. Okay, number 1, don't ignore it. Number 2, set appropriate boundaries. Number 3, do not join the conversations. And number 4, examine your heart. Make sure that you are clear what you're going to do. When there's been people in your life that are worthy of honor, give honor where honor is due. Why would you want to be somebody that withholds honor? Is celebrating somebody else making you less than? Why is it so hard for you to honor somebody? You have to take a look at your own heart sometimes, right? Really, people that have hearts that can honor and can love well, it's because they do have a healthy, pure heart. Because you don't lose anything by celebrating and honoring other people, you gain. And you don't miss how those people have blessed you. And you can't receive from somebody you don't honor and you don't respect. So really, really important. One of the greatest indicators of spiritual maturity is the ability to recognize value in others. You do not want to get good at dishonoring people or disrespecting people. That is not what you want to grow mastery in at all. Honor does not mean that people are perfect. Honor does not mean that there's not going to be times where relationships have confrontations and shifts and get a little uncomfortable, right? But honor does mean that you see people through God's eyes and that you can appreciate their influence in your life. So you have to pay attention to people who have a hard time showing honor, not because you're looking for reasons to judge them, okay? But because dishonor is often revealing wounds, it's revealing pride, insecurity, offense, or immaturity that will eventually affect every relationship that those people touch. And if you're a leader, you have to remember this. The people who can be trusted with influence are usually the people who know how to honor before they ever receive it. They're not doing things with a hidden motive to be seen or to be promoted. They're doing things because they're honorable and because they're obeying the Lord. Philippians 2:3 says, "Be free from pride-filled opinions, for they will only harm your cherished unity. Don't allow self-promotion to hide in your hearts, but in authentic humility, put others first and view others as more important than yourselves. Abandon every display of selfishness. Possess a greater concern for what matters to others instead of your own interests." Honor is not weakness. Honor is strength under control. Honor is humility in action. Honor is one of the clearest signs that a leader can be trusted with more. And dishonor is the opposite. So I really want to encourage you. I have witnessed a whole lot of dishonor. And usually it's in my experience, it comes from people that you've poured into, that you've been really generous and gracious to, that you've served with your whole heart. And it's usually those people that will hurt you, because enemies are usually in your midst, and people that can hurt you are usually people that have gotten really close. So it's really disheartening when you see how people move and decisions that they make, and it's almost like it can feel as if they completely minimize or diminish influence that you had in your life. Like it didn't cost you anything. Like your sacrifices didn't matter. Like what you put out there was nothing to them. And some people can operate like that when they're still in pride and immaturity, right? But it can still be really hurtful as a leader. And so you have to make sure that your heart is constantly pure, because it will be funny business. Again, dishonor is not clean. It is not reasonable. It is not just. It is not upright in any way. So it's completely unreasonable. It's completely foolish. So it won't make logical sense in that way. And so some of the things that you see will shock you and will absolutely hurt you if you're a human. Okay, but what you have to do is you have to take that too. You have to take the dishonor to the Lord and lay it at his feet, and then let him show you what to do, whether it is these things. Don't ignore it. Don't be naive. Set the right boundaries. Confront if he's telling you to confront, and make sure that you keep your heart pure. So that doesn't change how you lead, because usually the enemy wants to make sure that offenses can happen and that he can stir up strife and division so he can bring division and strife and wickedness of every kind, and you have to refuse it. But it's going to take work to do, and you cannot do that work without the Lord. And I will say and encourage you, do not be the type of person that dishonors who has blessed you. Don't be that kind of person. Do not be the kind of person that masters in dishonor and finds it super hard to honor people. Honor because you're honorable. Ask the Lord to help you with this thing in your heart. There's things that can happen that will be really confusing and really hard to navigate. And sometimes, since they're happening behind your back, you won't be able to just directly address it, but you can see the fruit of it, right? So you just have to pay attention to that too, and assert your boundaries in those instances. There's a whole lot more that we can dive deeper into, but I hope that this gives you at least a good start to pay attention to this. There's a reason why you get a check in your spirit when it comes to dishonor. Okay? So make sure that you take this to the Lord, pray into this, go back into some of these examples, read Philippians 2:3, go into Galatians 5:19 through 24. It's a great place to view as well, just to see what your heart might be full of and where it does need the Lord to flood it with light. All right. I hope this message blessed you. Look forward to connecting with you in Courage Co. Until next time, stay blessed. If today's episode encouraged your spirit, share it and leave a review so that other faith walkers can find their way home. And if you're ready for mentorship, activation, and community, join us inside Courage Co. It's just $20 a month to walk with us. You can access it at www.courageco.org.